Hello, my name's Catherine Webster. I'm the Subject Officer for Music at WJC. I've been working here for 3 years since the beginning of the development process. Prior to that, I was a teacher for 17 years, and today I'm going to talk you through the WJC Educas Specification for GCSE music. Introducing Educas. Educas is the new brand from WJC for centres in England. It provides Ofqual regulated reformed GCSEs, AS and A levels to secondary schools and colleges, and enables teachers to clearly distinguish between qualifications in England and Wales. Why choose Educas? First reason is the clarity of the assessment. There are 3 clear components which focus on the core skills of performing, composing and appraising. The examination materials are of high quality and comprehensive in their coverage. There are opportunities within the specification to stretch and challenge students. There are excellent professional development courses every year. There is personal and friendly support from subject experts via the telephone, email and face-to-face. And the specifications are designed by teachers and subject specialists for teachers and students. Key features. There is a clear, reliable assessment of the elements of the subject as defined by the DFE subject requirements. The questions are designed to enable learners to demonstrate what they know, understand and can do, and an awareness that the assessment must cater for the whole ability range. We have a team of very experienced senior examiners and chair of examiners. You have direct access to subject experts via email and/or the telephone, plus face-to-face CPD each year. We also have several extensive online resources for teachers and learners. Specification, the summary of assessment. This qualification has been accredited by Ofqual for first teaching from 2016 and first assessment in 2018. The assessment is available in the summer series, May and June. There are 3 components. Component 1 is performing. It's internally assessed by the teacher and externally moderated by WJC. It forms 30% of the whole qualification and 72 marks. For this component, learners must perform a minimum of 2 pieces, of which one must be an ensemble. The ensemble must be at least 1 minute duration, and the whole performance must be a minimum of 4 minutes. Learners may actually play as many pieces as they like to make up the 4 minutes, but at least 2. Component 2 is composing. This is also internally assessed and externally moderated. Again, it is worth 30% of the qualification and 72 marks. For this component, learners must complete 2 compositions, one of which is composed to a brief set by WJC. The brief will be released on September the 1st, Year 11. The free composition may be completed at any time during the course. The 2 compositions must be a minimum of 3 minutes duration in total. Component 3, Appraising. This is an externally assessed listening and appraising exam and is worth 40% of the full qualification and 96 marks. The exam is based around 4 areas of study. These are musical forms and devices, including Eine kleine Nachtmusik, Movement 3 by Mozart as a prepared extract. The second area of study is music for ensemble. The third area of study is film music. And the last area of study is popular music, including Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow as the second prepared extract. Component 1, Performing. The required standard is broadly equivalent to Grade 3 in the graded music exams. The reason for this is that WJC wants this qualification to be accessible to all candidates, whether or not they have studied music with private instrumental lessons. The qualification is open to all learners who have studied music at Key Stage 3. When choosing repertoire for performance, learners should bear in mind that one piece should link to one of the areas of study that the learners complete for Component 3. The links to the areas of study can be quite broad. It can be any piece of popular music, any piece of film music, or any piece of music that was ever played in a film. Music for Ensemble will cover 3 specific areas: jazz and blues, chamber music, and musical theatre. Musical forms and devices can be any piece that was composed during the Baroque, Classical, or Romantic periods. Learners may play as many pieces as necessary to meet the minimum time requirement. Therefore, if necessary, learners may play 5 or even 6 shorter pieces to meet the minimum time requirement. An ensemble must consist of 2 or more live players, not including the accompanist, unless the candidate is the accompanist. For example, if you have a flute and piano duet, the piano part could be considered as an ensemble part, but the flute part would be considered a solo and would not meet the requirements for an ensemble. Another important point to remember with ensemble performance is that there must be a certain level of interaction between the parts, and that the ensemble player must not have their part doubled by any other player. There may be people who play in the ensemble who are not being assessed. Learners may play on more than one instrument or voice, but there is no benefit to this. For example, if a candidate is equally good at flute and piano, then they may choose to play one piece on the piano and one piece on the flute. However, this is not necessary if they are stronger in one instrument than the other. If they are stronger on the piano, for example, they should play all their pieces on the piano. Technology options are included in the specification, but there must still be an ensemble performance with a live performer. So, for example, if you have a DJ candidate, you must also have a singer or a rapper or another suitable ensemble performance. Component 2, Composing. 2 compositions must be submitted for this component. Both compositions are composed in response to a brief. WJC will set one brief, and the learner sets their own brief for their free composition. Set briefs will always contain information about the occasion and the audience. The composition briefs are designed to allow any number of valid responses, and they are fairly open-ended so that candidates are not required to give a closed response. There will always be a choice of 4 briefs, each one linked to a different area of study. A possible brief might be something along the lines of compose a piece in ternary form for a school's award ceremony. That brief would be linked to musical forms and devices. It is recommended that each piece is long enough to demonstrate development of ideas, as this is assessed. Component 3, Summary. Appraising. The listening and appraising exam focuses on the 4 areas of study: musical forms and devices, music for ensemble, film music, and popular music. Each area of study has a specific musical focus, and there is a list of vocabulary or concepts associated with each area included in the specification. For example, musical forms and devices focuses on specific musical forms, such as ternary form, rondo form, binary form, etc., but also compositional devices such as sequence, imitation. These points should be taught in conjunction with this area of study. However, there is also a comprehensive list of musical terms included in Appendix C of the specification, and all of these terms should be learnt for the examination. Questions in the exam will be focused on this list. However, if a learner gives an answer which includes words that are not on the list but are correct, they will be marked correct in the exam. Learners should gain an understanding of musical elements, musical contexts, and musical language through each area of study. Please see pages 12 to 16 of the specification for a fuller explanation. Assessment objectives. There are 4 assessment objectives for GCSE music. AO1, perform with technical control, expression and interpretation. AO2, compose and develop musical ideas with technical control and coherence. AO3, demonstrate and apply musical knowledge. And AO4, use appraising skills to make evaluative and critical judgments about music. AO1 is assessed exclusively in Component 1, performing, and AO2 is assessed exclusively in Component 2, composing. AO3 and AO4 both relate to listening and appraising music, and they are both assessed in Component 3, appraising. Sample assessment materials. Component 1, performing. Each piece is marked out of 36 and adjusted using the table on page 31 of the specification. There is no limit to the number of attempts learners may have to perform each piece, although each piece must be performed in one unedited attempt during the final year of the course. All pieces must be submitted via a recording and must be accompanied by a score or a detailed lead sheet. All pieces must be submitted via a recording and must be accompanied by a score or a detailed lead sheet. A lead sheet should consist of the lyrics, if it is a song, the chord sequence, the melody line, and be as close as possible to what the candidate is playing. The teacher must be present during the recording, and the candidate and the teacher must sign an authentication declaration. It is good practice to mark the work live at the time of the performance, but this is not compulsory and not always possible, especially if the teacher is acting as accompanist. Pages 31 to 36 of the specification contain detailed guidance on how to ascertain the standard of difficulty of each piece. And when a piece is on a graded music exam syllabus, there is no need to consult these pages. The information there is a guide and a best fit only, and only needed if it is not part of a graded music syllabus. Component 2, composing. Again, for composing, each piece is marked out of 36 using the assessment grid on pages 38 and 39 of the specification. The free piece may be composed at any time during the course, but the piece composed to a brief set by WJEC must be composed during the final year of the course, as briefs will not be released until September the 1st. All compositions must be submitted with a score and a recording. Although the score does not need to be fully notated, a detailed lead sheet with a written description can be substituted for a full score. All learners must complete a non-assessed composition log to authenticate the work. The log will require details such as acknowledgements of anything that has been borrowed or used from another composer, details of how the score and the recording relate to each other, particularly if there are differences, evidence of the composition process, and last but not least, candidate and teacher signatures to authenticate the work. There is a table on page 40 of the specification which provides further guidance for teachers on how to assess composition. Component 3, appraising. The listening and appraising exam focuses on the 4 areas of study. Every year, there will be 8 questions out of 12 marks each, 2 on each area of study. The prepared extracts will be assessed in every exam, accounting for 2 of the 8 questions and 24 marks out of the 96 marks on the exam. The other 6 extracts will be on unprepared musical extracts, but questions will always focus on musical elements, musical contexts, and musical language. 48 marks on the exam paper will focus on AO3, demonstrate and apply musical knowledge. AO3 style questions will include multiple choice, short answer questions, and tick box questions. Typical command words in an exam will include pick one, insert, state, name, underline. And these questions are usually things that are either right or wrong and can be answered with one word or maybe just a couple of words. An example of such a question is included on this slide. 48 marks of the exam will focus on AO4, use appraising skills to make evaluative and critical judgments about music. Some AO4 questions will require a longer response. However, there may still be some multiple choice questions which require critical judgment or evaluation. Typical command words for AO4 include compare, describe, explain. This is a typical AO4 question. Explain how this music is appropriate for a chase scene in a film. In this question, candidates will be required to refer to musical elements. They must write in full sentences and in paragraphs. However, they will be allowed to put paragraph headings such as pitch, rhythm, tempo, etc. Resources for teachers. All Educas resources can be found on the Educas website. Free digital resources include a set of worksheets for each area of study to use in Year 10, multiple choice interactive quizzes on musical elements, performance packs for the prepared extracts and teacher guidance notes, including a full listening guide. Visit the subject page for the latest information and to view all qualification documents. These documents and resources are regularly updated. Textbooks. Illuminate Publishing are producing a course book which covers all components and areas of study. Rheingold are producing a book of practice questions and a revision guide for the specification. And various online publishers, including Renaissance Recordings and Musical Contexts, are providing materials to support the specification. The secure website. Access WJEC's secure website for a range of exclusive resources which are not available on the Educas public website, including exemplar material. Online Exam Review. Our online exam review website is an interactive teaching and learning tool based on actual responses to exam tasks. Bringing together questions, exemplar material, marking schemes and examiner comments online, it is particularly useful in the classroom. Exam results analysis. This facility allows teachers to compare the performance of individual students and the centre's entry as a whole with that of all WJEC candidates for a particular qualification. Lastly, CPD training courses. WJEC Educas offers face-to-face CPD courses in order to review internal and external assessment and to introduce new specifications. Thank you for watching the WJEC Eduqas GCSE music specification video. If you have further questions or wish to get in contact with a member of the team, all details are available on the website.